So the first principle is all children want to be successful. Another way of saying that I've heard someone else say is all children do well when they can. And the reason that this is so important is because typically in our parenting culture, and it has been this way for a long, long time, and it's the parenting culture you were brought up in, that your parents were parenting in, that their parents were parenting in. This is the way we have thought about children from time immemorial. The perception is that when children are misbehaving, when they're doing badly, when they're behaving unsuccessfully, inappropriately, it's because they want to. It's because they're doing it to get us. It's because they're trying to get control. It's because they want all the power. Those take us down the path of anger, coercion, and punishment. And all punishment is, my definition of punishment, is anything that physically or emotionally hurts, humiliates, or puts down a child. When we go down that road of punishment, and that's taking things away, that's time out, that's grounding, that's all of that. When we go down that road, we are on a track of understanding that my child will not do well unless they are trained and controlled and coerced into proper behavior. Which means I have no trust in their innate capability. And that's the message that comes across to our children, right? Now, plenty of kids get into plenty of situations where you feel you lose your trust. How can you trust this child who's going out and getting into trouble with kids I do not want this child to be hanging out with? That's the toughest time to hold this principle. So when your child is throwing things across the room in anger, when your child is hitting a sibling over the head with a frying pan, when your kids are into substance abuse, all kinds of things, this is the time. It is so important to say to yourself, my child really does want to be successful. Excuse me. What goes along with that is my child wants to please me. There is nothing that my child desires that is going to disconnect him from me. That is not what kids want to do. As much as it looks like it, and as much as we think it, it's not what they want. No child is happy being manipulative or out of control. No child is happy being disconnected from his family. So, if I know that my child wants to be successful, what that means to me is that if he's not being successful, and successful means in balance with himself, in balance with his world, feeling pretty good, right? If he's not being successful, that means there is an obstacle in his way. Something has come into his life, into his emotional core, that is a hurdle that he has to get over in order to be successful. So many, many, many inappropriate behaviors are attempts of children to climb over that hurdle. To get you, not just get your attention, but get you to really pay attention to what they're trying to tell you that they don't know how to tell you. You know, they don't know how to say, hey, wait a minute, Mom, I don't like it when you talk to me like that. It makes me feel like I'm bad. And it makes me feel like you just want me to be like my brother, and I can't be. They don't talk to us like that. They show us with their behavior. How can we make this work so we're both okay with it? And it's absolutely about balance. Because one of the things that we, especially mothers, I find, fall into is that our feelings or our needs, we don't even know what our needs are. They don't count. It's all about our child. And if you're going in that direction, then everything is off balance and your child has way too much power. Way too much power. And that's when you come into that place where you're thinking your child is spoiled. Because they're not being bad, they're just taking the power that you're giving them and doing what they will with it.
I'm sorry, I missed that. How are we giving them power?
We're giving them power if we don't give them limits and if we put our needs beneath theirs.
Oh, beneath theirs.
Right. The point of setting limits, really I think the only point of setting limits is teaching respect for self and others. The reason a limit is being set is because it's not good for your future learning, or it's learning respect for other people. You know, if you go into a restaurant and your child is happily running and screaming all around the restaurant, that's not okay, because it's not taking into consideration all the other people in the restaurant. Right? If you're going skiing with 3 kids and one kid says, I don't want to ski, I've got to go home, I want to go home, you didn't bring my right coat and you didn't bring the right ski poles, and you take that child home with the other 2 siblings, that child has gotten way too much power, right? So you got to make it work for everybody. And your needs are just as important. So yes, I'm feeling, and maybe you start off, when you're problem solving with an older kid, you may start off with, I'm feeling really confused about this. You're telling me you're going to do such and such. You want to go to this party. And I don't feel good about it. And I need to let you know that I am worried. I'm worried about drugs. I'm worried about alcohol. I'm worried about whatever. I don't know the parents. I don't know the other kids. But I'm willing to talk to you about this because obviously this is really, really important to you. This is a kid who's been saying over and over again, I want to go to this party, and you've been saying, no, I want to go to this party. And you're going to have a kid climbing out the window if you don't go through this process. So you're absolutely talking about your feelings, and you're owning them. You're not saying, you are making me so mad. Because when you say, you are making me so mad, you are asking your child to be responsible for your feelings. And I can promise you, at least half to 3/4 of you in this room felt this way growing up. We're given this message growing up. So we don't want to make them responsible for our feelings, or how many times do I have to yell before you listen to me? That's saying you're responsible for my behavior. How many times do I have to yell? You don't have to yell ever if you don't want to.